Supposed to be the dome team. We're supposed to be the team that can't play outside, and we come in here and win.
I want to see this team fight.
Detroit basketball.
You like I love this, man. Hey, shout out to the Pistons, man. Great dub today, man. You know, the Lions had to come show support, man. We got my dog BB out here.
Yo.
I know you guys came out. You know, the Lakers brings everybody out in this game.
I ain't gonna lie, Pistons brought us out.
But that's my first career pick six, man. I just want to say, man, all glory to God, and thank you to my teammates, man. I could not do it without y'all, man. Aiden, boy, I love you, boy.
The last 30 times Jared has targeted you, you've actually caught the ball. Congratulations to you. Have a safe flight home. Appreciate it. Way to go, man.
The Detroit Lions are having themselves a season. They just went into Lambeau Field and destroyed the Green Bay Packers in a monsoon of rain. I said they would win by 2 scores, and they made it look easy. They did it without a doubt. This Lions team is different. They will not lose no matter who they're playing. They beat the Rams in overtime. They went to Arizona and beat the Cardinals on the road. They beat the Seattle Seahawks in a blowout. They hung 47 on the Cowboys. They beat the undefeated Vikings, hung 50 on the Titans, and beat the 6-1 Packers. First thing I want to talk about, where's all the haters now saying Jared Goff can't play outside and this is the dome team? I am sick of hearing that narrative. I said it before the game. This Lions team can play in any condition. Dan Campbell said, we'll play him in the mud. Saying Jared Goff can't throw the ball when it's cold out is an old, dead narrative. Against the Packers, 18 of 22 for an 81% completion rate in the pouring rain, 145 yards and a touchdown. Again, no picks. Jared Goff's 5th game without throwing an interception. And of those 5 teams, he played the Seattle defense, the Minnesota defense, and the Green Bay defense. And when I make recap videos like this one about Lions games, I'm going to start doing play of the game. My play of the game for the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff's 4th down throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown. What a throw and what a catch. What a route. That play of the game. Nothing beats that. In the pouring rain, 4th and goal on the road, a stop would make the crowd go crazy, would kill your momentum, and they get it done. Goff was 18 of 22 in this game. The Lions had no problem catching that ball. I knew St. Brown was going to be a weapon in this game when I saw him pull up in that Green Bay Sucks sweatshirt. He was 7 of 7, 56 yards and a touchdown, had a long of a 26-yard reception. I just had a feeling St. Brown is the most trusted player on that offense with Jared Goff. He had some fire heading into that game, and historically, he's always torched the Packers and usually is the main target in the big games for the Lions. Like against Minnesota, he was 8 for 8 with 112 yards. But back to what I was saying about Jared Goff being able to sling the rock under any conditions, no matter if it's pouring rain or freezing cold. The last cold game was against Chicago, week 14 of last season. Had a bad one, 2 interceptions, 57% completion rate, and the Lions lost. Then we head back to 2022, week 18 against the Packers, Lambeau Field. The Packers win with Rodgers. They're in the playoffs. Goff goes 23 of 34, 224 yards, no picks. Dub. Had a long touchdown to Jameson Williams that was called back on a beautiful throw and ran out the time deep into the red zone. Weeks 15 and 16, Detroit played outdoors in New York and Carolina. It was cold. They won one, lost the other sadly. If they would have won that game, too bad the Lions' run defense just fell apart. But in those 2 games, Goff had 4 touchdowns and averaged 300 yards with a 60% completion rate. He played great in those. And a few weeks before that, Goff had 5 cold outdoors games that season. Played great in every single one. They beat Chicago on the road for the Lions' first road win in a while and went back-to-back, beating the Giants 31-18. Both those games, Goff averaged 68% completion rate, averaged 200 yards, had 1 touchdown to 0 interceptions. In Goff's last 7 games that are outdoors and cold, including last Sunday, he's 6-1. I truly believe people do not want to see Goff win no matter what. Back to the game recap though, another thing that was reinstated in this victory is the Detroit Lions are the best coached team in the league with Dan Campbell, and their culture is number 1. Brian Branch is kicked out of the game. It doesn't matter. The team is unfazed. Jordan Love can't find the end zone till late into the game, and the defense comes out with a commanding victory over a solid, explosive Packer offense. Again, it was a hurricane in that stadium, and the Lions offense and defense had no problem coming up with big plays There was no excuses throughout them. It doesn't matter who's getting the ball, who's having the big game, whether it's David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Laporta, even St. Brown. He's had some games this season with not many receptions and targets. He's still out there blocking as hard as he can, and it's usually Jameson Williams out there blocking as hard as he can, making room for the runners, coming up with big plays, even when he's not getting the ball. I know he wasn't out there, but it just shows you that no player is bigger than the team. That locker room, they're all together. They're in it to win. They don't care what the stats are. If they're getting receptions, they're not going to cry like CeeDee Lamb on the sidelines when the ball's not coming his way and things aren't going the team's way. They're a definition of a team. In a game like this, it shows when the weather's a big factor, it's not ideal conditions, and you're going up against a divisional rival on the road. And it's funny, Amon-Ra St. Brown called out Devontae Adams for not blocking, that being one of his weak parts in the game. Not like negatively. I believe it was on maybe Hot Ones. They're talking. I thought that was hilarious because St. Brown's in it to win. His mindset's phenomenal. He will block 40 times in one game. Usually he's going to get the ball a lot, but in the games where he hasn't, he's fine out there as long as they win. And I was talking so much about the Lions' completion rate with Jared Goff. He only had 4 incompletions. The Packers out there, Jordan Love was 23 of 39. 16 incompletions. That can't happen against a divisional rival. Now, I know Jordan Love was injured. You could tell it was visible. I believe right before halftime, you saw him struggling to run off the field. Would it have been better if Malik Willis played that game? I don't know. I feel like if Malik Willis plays, they still lose, but maybe it's a bit closer. Jordan Love has that pick 6 right before the half. That really killed him. Does that happen if Malik Willis is in the game? You could tell the injury was huge in Jordan Love's playmaking ability. And the Packers, how many drop passes did they have? Was it 6 or 7? You just can't have things like that when you're playing a divisional matchup, especially when it's the Detroit Lions. They're going to make you pay. There's no room for error like that. The Packers wide receiver core and Tucker Kraft, the tight end, which are usually so effective and explosive, coming up with great plays, look terrible out there. Besides Jaden Reed, which I'll get into in a minute. Christian Watson out there looked drunk. Is he struggling with depth perception? He came back early on that long ball, which if he just would have kept running the route, that's maybe a touchdown or a huge gain, putting the Packers in the red zone. Kraft had drops, Watson had drops, Dobbs had dropped. And I know the conditions are bad, and a lot of the blame was on Jordan Love because some of the balls weren't in the best placements, like the one in the end zone. It's a bit behind. However, I think that if Jordan Love's going out there injured, the Packers offense knows that he's not 100%. The wide receiver core and other playmakers are going to have to help him out and make some things happen. And if he's putting it in your vicinity in the end zone, you got to make that catch. I don't think the Packers can blame Jordan Love when they're throwing him out there injured. He's not going to be 100%. Everything's not going to be on point, and the wide receivers are dropping all those balls. The only player was Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed is a dog. You throw it up to him, good chance he's coming down with it no matter what the coverage is. He had 5 receptions for 113 yards with a long 41-yard gain. No touchdowns, though. I would have liked to see Jaden Reed be targeted more in the red zone, especially when everybody out there is dropping balls besides Jaden Reed. But that's the Packers' mistake. The Lions secondary played great, though. A lot of great plays from people like Carlton Davis. And how about Kirby Joseph? Pick 6 after Brian Branch is kicked out. They said a call from New York kicked him out of the game for intent to harm. I think that's total BS. I understand the flag. It's not avoidable. You put it in slow motion, it looks a lot worse. Watching these plays in slow motion is not the way to go. These people are going as fast as they can. We've seen Jahmyr Gibbs running 20-something miles per hour. They're going about 18 probably. I don't love the call, but I understand calling it for the unnecessary roughness. But the call from New York when the refs on the field didn't feel a reason to throw him out of the game, that's unbelievable. Intent to harm? What tackle does any NFL player have when they're not trying to injure the ball carrier? Brian Branch is a hard hitter. He's been fine before. A lot of them earlier on had been bogus, like the one against Bijan Robinson where he knocked off the helmet. That one was clean. He got thrown the flag and penalized after the game, of course, after that. But he's kicked out of the game, and this Lions defense has no problem staying out there and playing hard. That's just to show you how good this team is and how much Jordan Love in the Packers offense struggled against this Lions defense. They're out their best player. I believe Brian Branch is the Lions' best defensive player right now with Aiden Hutchinson being out. Big hit, interception, pass deflection, it's always Branch. He forces fumbles. He can play any position. He's great on the blitz. There's nothing this man can't do, and now he's playing safety for the first time. He loves Aaron Glenn because he says the game's slowing down for him. He can read the quarterback's eyes, and Aaron Glenn kind of just lets him do whatever he wants out there because Branch has a great feel for the game, knows where to line up, knows what's going to happen. I hope he continues to stay healthy. Terrion Arnold and Carlton Davis are also both playing great. There's an argument for Kirby Joseph, but just because this is Branch's first time playing safety and the amount of big plays he comes up with, he's all over the field. Every single play, it seems like he's in on it. PFF-wise, about a week or two ago, he was the #1 rated player in the league. Hopefully, he continues to stay healthy. We saw earlier, I like to say he hits without a regard for his own life, and that was shown earlier with his concussion. The Lions, again, they lose one of their top players, and the Packers are unable to capitalize on it with anything. And that just shows you how good the Lions are, even without their best playmaker on defense, and how much the Packers really struggled and looked embarrassing. Now to the Lions offense, let's talk about Jahmyr Gibbs. In my pregame analysis, I was meat riding Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit. I was saying he's one of the best running backs in the league. He's phenomenal. I feel like Lions fans know, but other people don't really realize how good this man is. He is always one broken tackle away from scoring a touchdown on every single carry. His explosiveness and cuts are unbelievable. Again, I always bring up the cut against the Vikings on the first touchdown. Just blows my mind. That speed and how he's able to make that move at that speed is otherworldly. Had 11 carries for 65 yards, averaged 5.9, had the great touchdown on 4th down, 1 reception off 2 targets for 11 yards. He's great in the receiving game, wasn't used much here. On that 1 touchdown throw, Goff overthrew him just a bit. I feel like he also slowed down just a tad. Maybe it's just the weather. The Lions are going to have some mishaps, but luckily they kept it to a minimum and didn't have any turnovers. I love Gibbs. Kind of meat right him in the pregame analysis and right now, but I just appreciate this player. And that doesn't mean I don't love Montgomery. David Montgomery is able just to push through when there's not very good blocking and the gap is getting closed. Jahmyr Gibbs isn't good at picking up 7 yards. It's usually going to be 3 when Montgomery can power through for those 5 extra yards after contact. Gibbs is leading them in yards per carry and total rushing yards over the past few games. But Monty is still great, and it's phenomenal that they have the switch between the 2 running backs, especially in a game like this where it's a ground and pound, run the ball, it's pouring rain. There's different formations for either running back. Gibbs is going to be used a lot more in the passing game. Also, Monty is usually getting 1 or 2 receptions for long runs on screens. Every single possession for the Lions is different for the defenders, and that's not easy. And they're both getting breaks in between, so they're 100% going in. Where Josh Jacobs started out really hot, the Packers were running the ball very well. They kind of left the run game, but you also probably wonder, Josh Jacobs is most likely getting beat up. He's not 100% going into the second half. He's not going to be able to run the ball as hard. They don't have 2 diverse backs like the Detroit Lions do, and I wonder will other teams in the NFL pick up that scheme, that idea of having 2 really strong running backs and rotating between them, keeping them both healthy, both 100% every single possession, and getting the most out of them. In the end, another great win for the Lions. They continue to show that they run the NFC North right now, and I'm excited to see how the rest of this season plays out. Hopefully they don't lose another game and win the Super Bowl. That might be too high of expectations to not lose again, but I think that could happen for this team because they're that good.